Hey, it's Ali. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm so glad you're here. And if you are returning, I'm so glad to see your face again. I have cameras in all of your rooms. So, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards are coming up. I know. Everyone bows and gasps. Last year and the year before, and probably the year before that, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards have been a place of like contention. Now, that's not what today's video is about. That will happen after that. I will be making a video about the Crunchyroll Awards once it happens, but in the spirit of the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, I wanted to talk about shows that people deem overrated, specifically Demon Slayer, because you know the new Demon Slayer season is out, and when the new Demon Slayer season came out, of course people had a lot to say, of course, about it being overrated, this, that, the other thing, and I just really wanted to break down why people thought it was overrated or think that it is overrated, and honestly just prove all of your claims, because I don't think it's overrated if you read the title of the video. So anyway, if that is something that is interests you, don't forget to like and also subscribe, because I do this all the time, if you can see from my other videos. And leave a comment about any other animes you'd like me to discuss one way or the other. And let's just jump into it. So obviously the first thing that I think a lot of people think of when they think of an overrated show or overhyped show is fan enjoyment. I think that's probably the biggest thing, because when I remember when Demon Slayer was first coming out, because I was one of those ones who were like right there, was like, oh, this anime looks cool, let's watch it. A lot of people were really into it. They're like, oh my god, this anime is so good, this anime is so good, like you should watch it, you should watch it, you should watch it, the animation is great, the story is great, characters are great, like you should watch it. And then, like, I don't know, after it reached a peak of like popularity, everyone just started hating on the show. Like, everyone just started shitting on it, like, y'all watching Demon Slayer. Like, honestly, this was around the time where if you liked any popular anime, like My Hero Academia or anything like that, you were immediately shit on. Like Hunter x Hunter, My Hero Academia, Haikyuu, you, especially if you were a girl, you were immediately put into this category of not real anime fans, which is another story for another day. But it's considered overhyped simply because a lot of people like it. And I'm like, you wouldn't say that about like One Piece. You know what? Actually, maybe some of y'all would actually say that about One Piece. But like, y'all wouldn't say that about Dragon Ball Z. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. I know y'all wouldn't. Y'all wouldn't say that about Dragon Ball Z. So why suddenly are all these shows that are getting really, really popular suddenly overhyped? It's just because a lot of people like it. It's a very accessible show. Like, Demon Slayer, the first season got put onto Netflix eventually, and Netflix is a very accessible thing for most people. Someone's family member has it, whatever. And as I will get into later when I get to that part, having it be accessible is one of the main reasons why it can become so popular in the first place. Moving on quickly to animation slash budget, people will deem an anime good or bad based off of its budget and the animation that comes from that budget. I think this is very hard to do. Take Seven Deadly Sins, for example. That is a show that people were writing pretty hard for, and then the animation went downhill, and now suddenly it's like, you know, if you're still watching the show, you're a real one, basically. Versus something like Demon Slayer that had really good animation and obviously therefore a very good budget. So because of that, people deem this anime good. I think there is something to be said there a lot about the quality of an anime based off of its animation. I feel like it depends on what you're going for. Some animation styles are very specific for that show on purpose. Sometimes they try to experiment, like shows like Dorohei Doro. I'm pretty sure like the full 3D type thing can be very hard for like people to get into and for people to like. And so when you see stuff that looks 2D but like obviously has a lot of 3D animation working into it, including Demon Slayer, you know, your eyes like it, you like it. And I think that's what a lot of cartoons are nowadays, is they have a lot of 3D makings and elements in them, but the show itself mimics a 2D cartoon style, and that is, I think, more visually appealing to the eye rather than like something like Dorohei Doro. I think Dorohei Doro is very visually pleasing, but I think it's one of those things that is like you gotta kind of like be into it to like get it, if that makes sense. And so obviously that leads to something being super popular if it has good animation. Now I will say this, that's not always the case. There are some animes that have beautiful animation and just completely fly under the radar. There's a video that was popping around my recommendeds, which is like the anime that broke its team, and it like seemed like it was very beautiful animation and really well done, but it didn't do as well because, you know, obviously success is weird with anime because it's like, is it successful if it makes it to the States? Is it successful if it just does well in Japan? Who knows? So I think trying to judge something as being hyped or overhyped based off its animation is a little kind of like, do you want bad animation for your, like, the anime that you like probably has at least decent animation. Like, it's probably not, you know, my favorite anime is a very old shonen anime called Katekyo Hitman Reborn. Obviously, you watch that show, it doesn't have the best animation in the world, even within shonens of the time, but it's still like a really good show. So I can say that about your obscure favorite anime. Probably doesn't have the best animation in the world, or maybe it does, and maybe that's why it's your favorite anime. But for the most part, it probably doesn't have this amazing super like animation, but you still love it and watch it for different reasons. So I think it's not fair to Demon Slayer to be like, oh, the reason why it's so overhyped is because of its animation. So moving on. Now this is the heavy hitter, and that is the story. Bear with me for a sec because we're gonna get in deep. So I've read the manga. I will try my best not to spoil anything for you guys who haven't read the manga. Spoil free, I promise. The story, however, just the overarching story of Kimetsu no Yaiba Demon Slayer is very simple. It's very, very simple, especially from the way that battle shonens go. It's super simple. Tanjiro is just trying to defeat demons while attempting to save his sister who is turning into a demon. That's it. And if you're wondering if it gets any more complex than that going forward in the anime, not really. It doesn't. Honestly, we're almost at endgame here. If you've read the manga, you kind of know that like the endgame is kind of coming. There's like 2 more like smaller arcs that will probably be its own seasons or even a movie. The dude with the long turquoise hair, like black and then turquoise hair, and the one who's like sleepy all the time or whatever and really chill, he has an arc. I can totally see that arc going into a movie because of just the way things are going so far with the show. I can see it being into a movie. There's an arc right after this arc that's going on right now, the Entertainment District arc. There's an arc with Tanjiro's sword. That's an arc. And then then it bleeds into the arc that could become a movie. I don't know this anime production stuff. But I say all that to say, after that, it's literally endgame. We're in the endgame. Like, there's a couple of arcs and they're major arcs that are the endgame. And then the story ends, which I'm so glad the story ends. We'll get to it in a second, but I think Demon Slayer's, like, advantage over what makes it so special is the fact that it's kind of short and sweet and simple. You don't have to do all of this rigmarole. There is world building, but it doesn't need to be this complex thing. I love One Piece, but for the life of me, it is very complex and obviously therefore very hard to get into. There's a reason why One Piece is hitting its 1,000th fucking manga and almost hitting, I think it has hit its 1,000th episode. Like, there is a reason for that. I, as a person who loves One Piece, I think that there needs to be, not necessarily with anime because I think the anime is interestingly paced, but with the manga, I think there needs to be 1,000 like things to that. It's a journey. It's an adventure. It's supposed to take years and years, both in the world and in real life. If One Piece was paced any differently, I think we all would be like, what the hell is going on? If One Piece was paced like Naruto, which Naruto is also very long, people don't want to realize that just because it's a show a lot of people watch in their childhoods, so they don't think it's that long. Naruto's still 200 plus episodes in the first Naruto, and then 300 plus episodes within Shippuden. So that's a grand total of like 500 plus episodes to tell this one story of Naruto. I digress. With shows like those, you need a longer period of time. This is literally the story with Naruto, it's the story of Naruto's adolescence and his adulthood. Same with One Piece. One Piece is the story of Luffy and his crew and his life going forward. So it makes sense that these shows are super long, and honestly, well, One Piece hasn't ended yet. Why? What did I do to deserve this? No, there's birdies outside my window. However, with Demon Slayer, it's very contained. The show itself, the series itself is very contained. It's just Japan. As far as we know, there's nothing really going on outside of Japan as it relates to demons, because the big bad dude who's making demons resides in Japan. He's the end goal. Unless he were to leave Japan, which, spoiler alert, he doesn't. It's not like Demon Slayer suddenly becomes international. He's not going to just leave Japan. So everything is very contained. It's almost like a period piece, almost, because I think Demon Slayer also does a really good job of showing off at least the architecture, culture of that era of Japan. I think is really cool. Anyway, side note aside, I think that having this simple story is that. Now, the reason why I mention having a simple story is because a lot of people point at that as the reason why Demon Slayer is overhyped. It's like, well, the story is so simple. How can it be so popular when the story is so simple? That's it. The story is so simple. You want to talk about animes that are really easy to get into and starter animes, a video I want to make about really good starter animes and why we consider them starter animes. This is a good one. It's a really good starter anime for people to get into. If you're not sure if you would even like battle shonens to begin with, Demon Slayer is really good in terms of having the best of what a battle shonen could be. It has really good choreographed fights. It has interestingly visual and also storytelling wise during those fights. It doesn't take too long. The fights don't take that long. Tanjiro sees the obstacle ahead, understands the obstacle, goes through a whole mental thing about the obstacle, and then defeats the obstacle. And that in of itself is a really good like condensed version. And it's like, if you want longer forms of that, like Naruto or One Piece, watching Demon Slayer, you'd be like, yeah, I really like this. And then you can go on to those or go on to more complicated ones. There's nothing wrong with Demon Slayer being kind of that starter or being simple in that fact. Sometimes simplicity is better. Trying to make these huge complex power scaling and all of this, I see some videos about that and they're all relation to the video game, so I don't really like, it's whatever. But the power scaling honestly is pretty understandable. You can understand there's Hashira are like the biggest, coolest dudes, then they got the swords and whatever, and they have the techniques, and there's ancient techniques, there's different types of techniques, water, fire, fire, sun, what the fuck else, there's other ones, fucking butterfly, whatever, etc, 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 stone, all of those. It's pretty easy to understand that because it's kind of like elements, right? And then they have, 1, 2, 3, literally labeled water breathing number 1, technique 2, 3, and then you give them cool names and they're really pretty to look at. And they have specific patterns that you can recognize when they do it. So they always say it, but just in case Tanjiro doesn't say which water breathing technique he's doing, because you've seen the pattern, you'd be able to recognize it. It's simple. We don't need to, it doesn't get any more complex than that. I mean, kind of, but like not really any complex to the point where you're like, I need a diagram to show me what the hell is going on. And I think that is okay. I think people want to be like, oh, well, it's not complicated enough or it's not deep or complex enough. Like, why does it need to be? Why can't you just enjoy it for what it is? Same with the characters. I think there is a lot of critique about the characters in terms of, especially the main, like, 4 characters, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Nezuko. Like, there has been some critique, and I will give it to you that the characters don't really go through a whole lot of character development in terms of moving forward in their lives. I would disagree with that, especially with Zenitsu and Inosuke. I feel like they go through the most character development. Tanjiro is just coming to terms with both his grief and getting stronger. I think the main thing of character development that all the characters go through is getting stronger. Especially with Tanjiro, I feel like this is true in a lot of shonen anime with main characters. The mental block is bigger than the physical block of getting stronger. He is physically frustrated, especially within this season that is airing right now, about how weak he is. He does not see himself, he does not know really how to get any stronger. Yeah, that is a simple storyline in of itself, and also the storyline of just getting his sister back. But I think, once again, it's pretty okay. It's okay for people to understand that storyline and to like that storyline. There isn't much more to it, but that's the beauty of it. It's simple. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. I don't know what else to say here. Like, if you want super complex character development over a long period of time, go watch One Piece. This has all been a front for my go watch One Piece agenda. The story in of itself doesn't need to be this high-end complex story. Like, it just doesn't. It's okay for, I think there's a time and a place for everything, and it's okay for Demon Slayer to not be this beautiful, needed piece of work of art, you know? I think it's okay to just have an anime that is enjoyable, and being like, oh, it's overhyped, it's overhyped, it's overhyped, it's very subjective. To say something is overhyped because of its story is even more subjective. Like, yeah, it's simple and it's easy to understand and visually great to look at. Sit back and enjoy the show. It's not as complex as these other shows that dive into the psyche of what it means to be human. Not every show needs to do that. There is a time and a place to all of them. And that's why I think comparing those types of shows is pretty much pointless. Which brings me to my last point, the Crunchyroll Awards. How... At this point, I think we need to divide the Crunchyroll Awards into, and they try to do this, they really do. They try to divide it into like, oh, best battle anime, best romance, blah, blah, blah. But I think we need to divide it a little bit more than that, as well as terms of especially best anime of the year. That's just gonna be a popularity contest. We all know this. You're voting. It's fan voted. This isn't the Academy Awards, alright? There's not an Academy fucking voting on this shit. It's fan voted. So of course, the more people watch a show and like a show versus something like Odd Taxi, a show that not many people, including myself, have watched, even though it's on my watch list. It's on my watch list. But it may be this great, cool piece of work of art, which is what everyone's saying about it. But if not a lot of people watch it, when it comes time to vote between that, Demon Slayer, and Attack on Titan, who do you think's gonna win? I didn't even mention the other, like, 2 animes within that category. Who do you think is gonna win? It's probably going to be Attack on Titan. Not because Attack on Titan is the objectively better show for what it does, it's just more popular. Same with Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is just popular. That is okay. It doesn't mean that it's bad. I think the thing about something being overhyped is we immediately have this negative connotation. Demon Slayer is overhyped. Like, what does that mean to you? Does that mean, oh, I watched it and it wasn't as cool as everyone makes it out to be? Well, that could just be the 2 friends that you have where like, watch Demon Slayer, watch Demon Slayer. It is the best thing to ever exist. It's better than all these other shows. It's better than Odd Taxi. It's better than Keep Your Hands Off Isoken. It's better than all these other shows that you're watching right now. Go watch it. So you go watch it expecting it to be this like peak work of fiction. And it's just a battle anime. And maybe, yeah, you get a little salty because you're like, it's better than Keep Your Hands Off Isoken. What? Understanding, but also at the same time, there is no negative connotation I think we should put towards that type of stuff, if that makes sense. I don't think shows that are overhyped are bad, but I think a lot of us tend to think that. It's like, oh, Hunter x Hunter is overhyped. But is it worth the hype? I think so. I think Demon Slayer is worth the hype that it gets, even if you think that it's overhyped. To this I say, go on your own. Go do your own research into a show to see if you like it before, like, anime recommendations are cool, and I'm gonna put my own out soon. They're cool, but at the end of the day, know your own taste and obviously form your own opinion. That prevents you from going, this show is overhyped. But lastly, I wanted to talk about, lastly, I wanted to talk about the reason why it's a great starter anime, and I mentioned really earlier in the video about Netflix and how most people who are casual anime watchers, I think that's also another thing too, is if you're like avid anime watcher and you watch a lot of different animes, seeing something that you're just like, is it really worth all this hype? You have to understand that there are casual anime watchers as well. And if the show is on Netflix, you're gonna get a lot more casual anime watchers to watch this show. Think about it this way. If you didn't really watch a whole lot of anime and you're looking for something to get started, are you going to go for Netflix in terms of a subscription service or Crunchyroll? Netflix that has not just anime, but cartoons, like American cartoons and dramas and other shows that you could watch and that would probably give you more bang for your buck versus Crunchyroll, which is just anime. And so Well, for the most part, just anime. And so, if you're a beginner getting into anime, you probably won't get a Crunchyroll subscription right away. You don't even know if you would like anime like that. So if a person knows they're not gonna like certain genres of anime and only want to watch the super popular ones, of which I don't think there is anything wrong with, by the way, they're probably going to just get a Netflix subscription. And then if someone's like, hey, go watch this anime, it's on Crunchyroll, they may be like, I'll wait for it to come on Netflix. Even though that probably won't happen for years. Literally yesterday, my friend was like, oh yeah, Demon Slayer, I'll wait for it to come on Netflix. And to that, I replied to her, girl, that's literally going to take years. But she was just like, eh. And that just proves, like, me, an avid anime fan watcher, it behooves me to get Crunchyroll. But someone like her who is a casual watcher, Netflix is the ideal for her. So that also aids in something's popularity. If you see on Twitter someone talking about Demon Slayer, it could literally be anybody. Versus like me, when I talk about it, obviously I'm a very anime avid fan. In conclusion, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards are dumb. Yes, the show is overhyped, but who cares? Go outside and touch grass. Thank you so much for watching. I love how I said go outside and touch grass, like I'm not sitting here making a 30-minute video complaining about people who complain about a show. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked, leave a like, and if you made it this far into the video, you're a real one. Obviously, people who probably don't like Demon Slayer probably didn't make it this far into the video. But if you are here, hi, hello, please subscribe. I make more videos like this all the time, every week, hopefully. And that's it. If you have a show you want to DM me or any type of thing you want me to check out that is in relation to pop culture, show, video game, whatever, my DMs are open on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know why you would go onto TikTok to DM me, but my DMs are open, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Oh, link in the description for all those. Peace.